I don't know if it's me getting old and missing all those sort of halcyon days of pop mechanics and dance experiments, but I think there is some sort of vacuum. I think that sort of initial post-punk new wave thing is over, and maybe people are looking for something else. But I can't really say objectively because maybe I'm a bit jaded or something. But I think it's a bit depressed at the moment. I can't see any new up-and-coming bands coming through that will probably do the same as what dance experiments or pop mechanics or whatever have done.
Here we are in Christchurch, a city famous for its great pop bands. They've been going since the days of Ray Columbus and the Invaders, through Dick Driver's hip singles and even up to dance exponents. Well, they've all gone now, but they've left a legacy of many pubs, lots of gigs, and quite a few less commercial but equally as interesting bands. I've got my obligatory copy of the Christchurch Star, so let's see what's on in town tonight.
Tonight, my bet, Zanzibar.
What's on there?
White Boys, local band, boys trying to make good. It'll be packed.
What sort of crowd are we looking at there?
MIBs, men in black. Not a great deal of colour. A lot of people standing around, but it'll rage about 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay, Zanzibar's a fairly new gig. What about the trad places like the Gladstone, the Hillsborough?
Gladstone this weekend celebrating its 50th birthday party.
Last year or so we've lost the Hillsborough, probably one of the major touring venues in the country. Has that obviously affected things on your behalf?
It hasn't helped things. Business, it was one of the better venues in the South Island, one of the biggest for sure. But since then there's been no really big major acts, and there's only the dance exponents that can actually come down regularly. Screaming Memories are no longer together. The Mockers, they do really well out there, but they can still do the same crowds in town.
Speaking of the dance experiments, obviously the Mockers, are there any new potential pop star bands coming from Christchurch?
Well, it's been about 15 months, and I think there's probably a couple on the horizon. I mean, we've got bands like Made in China that won the band war here in Christchurch, which got an English feel with sax and trumpet. Blues bands, pop bands, very few and far between now.
There's a lot of avant-garde, underground stuff coming up. Again, we're not seeing some of the bands which came out of Christchurch a few years ago. We're not seeing the colour of the life, the party bands. Everybody's taking themselves probably a touch seriously.
To be honest, most of the bands, mainly they prefer it that way anyway, are simply quite happy to have a regional sort of success and enjoy themselves, frankly. I don't think they're out to be the next Split Ends or the next big international act. They're quite happy just to play.
It's just people stealing people's lives, raping and robbing. I just don't understand what's trying to do it. I hope I'd rather die. Take away anyone's life. 'Cause there's a whole lot of things we're living for, and a couple of things we're dying for. But there's not one thing in this universe worth killing anyone for.
I prefer not so much New Zealand bands, but I like to see more overseas bands coming down to Christchurch, which is almost zilch.
Christchurch needs a major touring act to go out there and sell Christchurch so that people accept Christchurch bands. We've seen so many Dunedin bands lately, and they've been received really well here in the Gladstone and really well in so many other places. It's time Christchurch got out there and said, hey, here we are, because it's been a long time since there's been a Christchurch band gone out and done something.
Burning like fire, succumbing to desire. Watch out when love is cold. Watch out when love is bold. Fire on fire, higher and higher.
Flying Nun seems to have taken basically all the market in the South Island. So South Island bands go. There has to be a breakthrough somewhere. There's going to be a breakthrough really soon. Everyone's trying to get out.
I don't know what's wrong with me. There must have been something in my family. It's alone in my thoughts I find nothing in the end to ease my mind. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me.
What sort of bands are big in Christchurch?
The bands that are probably the biggest at the moment are the Great Unwashed and the Bats, and probably Builderine and his various offshoots. But they're the ones that are making the most noise, not necessarily the ones that are pulling the biggest crowds.
Bill Doreen has always lived on Christchurch's musical fringe. Once purely a musician, he now pours his boundless energies into a new project, the Blue Ladder Theatre.
Bring a scorpion with fire. It honors an ancient act.
It's a natural step forward from rock music, which I was involved in 5 or 6 years ago up till last year because it was so exciting. And the aspect of working with people, some of whom haven't worked in the theatre before, is a bit like playing in a band where people haven't played before, and you get that same exciting, massive steps forward in a short space of time.
Sketch what is revealed. A red rim on the horizon, and a bride on the wheel, and a bride on the wheel.
We're still doing quite well. We had a bad patch where a lot of the pub owners decided that they could do better with just straight cover bands, and there was no place for local bands to play who weren't cover bands. But now the Star and Garter, the Gladstone, the Zanzibar, they all are having bands who are not particularly well known or are up and coming play there, and so we've got a lot of support. I would say that Christchurch from the pub scene is back where it was. We're actually much stronger, I'd say, in most senses.
Thanks, Rob. And seeing as you mentioned it, let's move across town to Tony Peake's Zanzibar, the new gig in town.
What I want to do with Zanzibar is actually cater for everything, really. Right from the bands you've seen here over the last 2 weeks, like the Bats and the White Boys, Hemogoblins, Lions and Tigers, that's a new band, to latest dance music, really, which is on a Saturday night. So I think that there's room for competition, really. I hope that hasn't damaged the venues, but those venues seem to chop and change so much that hopefully we're offering sort of a stable alternative.
We searched high and low, but neither the Bats nor the Hemogoblins seem to be playing this weekend. Pity. Okay, let's talk Flying Nun.
If you go back a couple of years to the Clean and the Playthings, and their influence on Christchurch music at the moment is huge. 3 bands like the Bats, Great Unwashed, and so on. But there are also people who are part of the Flying Nun stable mainly, and not always living in Christchurch. There are a couple of bands that have got members that live in Dunedin, and there are also bands that don't like publicity very much and don't like playing the normal music business promotion games, and so it's quite low-key.
It seems throughout most of the country that the Flying Nun bands are pulling the biggest crowds. Is it the same thing here?
Yeah. Roger's doing a great job. He's promoting good music, and they're pulling the crowds. It's a Kiwi flavour, it's a South Island flavour, and that gets the support.
Yes, there's quite a bit of interest building in England. Just starting to get reviews through in the NME. John Peel's been playing Great Unwashed and Chills and things like that. I hope to get over early next year and organise a few things.
Who would be your top band at the moment as far as sales?
The Chills look like sort of our biggest band, I suppose, at the moment. Fairly closely followed by the Verlaines and Great Unwashed.
Is there a danger of Christchurch perhaps becoming an outlying district of Dunedin, musically?
Not quite. Just Dunedin bands are so good up here. Like, we haven't worked a Dunedin band in Christchurch in the last 12 months. That's done, bad.
And sometimes the audiences, from personal experience, could be quite schizo and sort of treat you like the little boy who's walked into the middle of a crowded room and peed his pants or something.
Well, this is all very well if you're either employed or over 20, like giving them a start.
Giving them a start, yeah. I like there's lots of new bands that don't have the opportunity to do that. I mean, they don't know how to use a PA system. Sure. And in this way, okay, we give them that training, that grounding, and take it from there.
Is it purely performance, or are you actually intending to record them?
Oh, well, sometimes, yeah, we do. We've got our own record label, we've got our own cassette label.
There has been some conflict of interest between the breakdancers and the punks and the new romantics and the live banders, but it's not a violent conflict of interest. They're generally sorting themselves out and they know that whatever they want will be here.
How au fait do you think young persons of this age are with the musical trends at the moment?
Oh, very much. Very much. They know what they like, they know what they don't like, and they know what they'll pay for.
Well, as you can see, there are heaps of bands playing in Christchurch tonight, but most of them, of course, are covers bands playing to a regular audience. One band that does manage to cope with covers in their own material, though, are Louie and the Hot Sticks, and they're playing at the Marine, so let's head on out there now.
You get consistent. You're playing 3 nights a week, so everyone gets to know things, or hopefully they do.
You don't feel any pressure to do more originals than you do?
It's an okay balance. We do about 8 originals in a night, and that's about a fifth of 20%. That's okay.
Come 11 p.m, and if you're still in the mood for some music, you've got the choice of Romanoffs, if you're prepared to wear a collar and tie, the Uhuru Cabaret, although I can't tell you much about that because it wasn't open the night we went there, and if you're not wearing jeans, you can go to Vibrations. Well, that's the story. Or is it? Roger and out.
Christchurch has always been pretty, up and down. Winter, it always dies away completely. Summer, there's always something sort of interesting starting to happen.
And you've got the bands like the Flying Nun bands who just play and record as they sound. Whereas you've got the industry bands that sort of use state-of-the-art technology to make songs, but you've always got those two separate camps, I think.
Do you think Christchurch is being perhaps left behind in the music scene these days?
I don't think so. Maybe we're going through a bit of a slump, but I don't think we're getting left behind because I can't see anything happening in Auckland right now anyway. Maybe the whole country's just sort of levelled out, but you can come back and ask me in 3 months' time when it's summer and I could be a bit more optimistic.